Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Alright, so today we are going to be taking a look at Wander, the Cult of Barnacle Bay. This just arrived. This is a new Kickstarter game. This is the second game so far this year that has arrived that was on my top 10 anticipated games of 2019. So I'm super excited to get this out, learn it, and get it played. I think it looks pretty dang cool. So as I said in my my top 10 most anticipated games list, it's a cartoony dungeon crawl with anthropomorphic animals. And I'm not entirely super sold on that idea anymore. I was into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles a long time ago. I think I discovered them in around 1985, I believe. Maybe 86. No, it must have been 85. And I remember going out to dinner with my parents at a food court, the farmers market food court, that also had a really good magazine stand. And I always liked looking at their magazines and comic books. And at that particular evening, I found this comic book that was these Ninja Turtles, and they were demonstrating different kinds of martial arts and different kinds of ninja weapons. And I am from the Just Add Ninja generation. That's another name for Gen X. If you guys didn't know it, it's totally official. But in our, growing up in the late 70s and early 80s, it just seemed like everything they would just add ninjas to it and it would automatically be way cooler. But I remember discovering the Ninja Turtles at that time and getting super into them. And then in 6th grade in 1986 is when my friend introduced me to the role-playing game. And then I was into stuff like Usagi Yojimbo and all that kind of stuff. And then, I don't know, as I grew up, I kind of fell out of favor of the anthropomorphic animal subgenre. And then it kind of, there seemed to be some kind of maybe a negative connotation that maybe arose from the popularity, if you can even call it a popularity, of the furry subculture. Actually, I have nothing against furries. They seem like they have a perfectly fine time. But, it is one of those weird kind of fringe pop culture movements, fringe groups, that there is a negative stigma around. And I don't know if I'd try to distance myself from this kind of thing because of that, or maybe it's just something that doesn't appeal to me anymore. I'm not sure. But I think this game looks pretty cool. I really like the art. I like the colors. And I think it's going to be a pretty cool game. There's some interesting things about it, I think. So let's take a look at the back of the box. So the box is one of those really deep square boxes. Think of it about probably the same size as Massive Darkness. And one thing about this game is it is a small Kickstarter, and I appreciate that, because as my shelf space is becoming quite limited, I really don't have the room for one of those super mega cool mini or not Kickstarters that one game takes up multiple shelves. So this is just the base box, and then the little Kickstarter exclusive box, the bonus box. And this was the basic pledge. I rarely go full in on or all in on Kickstarters, because the truth of the matter is I probably won't even ever see just what this has to offer, or all of what this has to offer. And so I'm usually okay with just the base pledges. All right, but this is the Cult of Barnacle Bay. Let's see. Elder Bane and his evil followers have slithered their way into the once peaceful fishing village of Barnacle Bay. and corrupted the villagers into horrendous hybrid monsters. The crab-crazed otter fishermen, tentacle bunny zealots, fishbat casters, and fearsome berserking bear sharks have now taken over the town. It is up to the heroes of the Wanderers Guild to save Barnacle Bay in this family-friendly co-op campaign-driven dungeon crawl. So it plays 1 to 5 players. They say it takes about an hour. I bet it takes closer to 3 hours. Ages 10 up. So I know some people have balked at the game, saying it looked a little kiddie, or they thought that maybe it was too family focused. I'm not sure about that. I mean, the truth of the matter is, though, really, I mean, besides maybe a small, very small handful of games that I have, most of the games I'm into are kids games. I mean, we're all just big kids playing with minis and cardboard heroes fighting monsters, going on adventures. That's something that kids love, and it's something that imaginative adults still love. So I have no problem with something being a kids game. It doesn't bother me at all. So box contents, so let's see, 45 miniatures, 5 hero dashboards, 5 hero cards, mini boss card, 3 boss cards, 3 boss AI decks, 36 spawn cards, 65 event cards, 12 event cards. Not sure why those are separated out like that. 105 item cards, 2 punchboard token sheets, initiative cards, initiative tracker, darkness space cards, 9 large double-sided game tiles, 5 small double-sided game tiles, 1 rulebook, 1 campaign book, 6 plastic XP trackers. All right, so I have already taken the shrink off. So let's see, game design by Jonathan Philip Bradford and Heath Foley, and created by Cult Games. I think this might be the first game to come from Cult. And if I remember correctly, I believe that these guys were ex-CMON guys, I think. So here we have the rulebook, and there is a little bit of a blemish to the side of the rulebook there. It looks like a glare, but it's not. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that's fine. So the rulebook is actually quite a bit thicker than I imagined. 40 pages. Okay, we're not talking Fireteam Zero's 10-page rulebook here. So that already kind of like people who avoided this game because they thought it was a kid's game, but they might. I think there's a little more going on to this game than some people might have realized. So on the back of the rule, you do have your nice quick reference guide. I always like it when games include that. I love the size of this rule book. It is the rectangle size, not the giant square size. So super kudos on that one, guys. Thank you. This is the perfect size and shape of a rule book. I know that seems like a really silly thing to talk about, and I talk about it more than I think any other YouTube board game guy I know of. But I do like reading and looking through rule books quite a bit, and so I appreciate it when they are a manageable size. One thing I always dislike in Kickstarter games is when they list all of the people. It's always so hard so hard to read, and I've Kickstarted quite a few games and I've never actually found my name in here. So I don't know how I'm listed on Kickstarter. Not that it matters, but it's just, I don't know. It's weird. They don't need to do that. They don't need to list the backers. It's not like we're producers or anything. But all right, so here's the rule book, volume 1.0. Cult of Wander. The Cult of Barnacle Bay is a cooperative campaign-driven game for 1 to 5 players on an adventure to save the village of Barnacle Bay. Each player will take on the role of a hero of the Wanderers Guild and fight together against a city full of evil, mutated cultists, like crazed otter crab fishermen, vicious tentacle-armed rabbit zealots, malevolent fish bat casters, and the hulking deadly bear shark brutes. If the wanderers can make their way through the city, they'll have the chance to fight off against the evil cult leader, Elder Bane, and put an end to his corruption of Barnacle Bay. So I haven't really read through the rulebook. We'll just take a quick look here. It looks colorful, nice of art, 2-column layout, so it seems like it's going to be pretty easy to read. Lots of pictures with arrows and examples. I like that. Again, I do greatly appreciate the use of color in this game. I did just watch Z Garcia's Dice Tower review for The Rise of Moloch. That's kind of steampunk adventure game from CMON. And he had the game laid out on the table, and my God, did it look dull. I mean, there was like hardly any color at all. Everything looked very boring. It had a very dull table presence for such a lavishly produced and expensive game. So I do like when things have color that pops. I mean, just looking at this, setup page here, you can tell that it is a cartoony game, and in my opinion, it is an inviting game to play, or to at least to look at, and hopefully that translates to the actual gameplay. But lots of examples. So I can't speak on the writing of the rulebook, but based upon the layout, it looks like it was thoughtfully done. So again, I think there's quite a bit of stuff going on in here. Some people had also compared it maybe to Zombicide, and in my opinion, it already looks like maybe there's even more going on here than in a game of Zombicide. We do have bosses, which I like, and the bosses have AI decks, which is cool. Ways to play one-shot scenarios if you don't want to play through a campaign. We have a list of keywords, so a glossary, that's always nice for quick reference. No index. We do have a small table of contents, so a little disappointed that it doesn't have an index, because indexes are always nice to have, but maybe that glossary takes care of a lot of the things. So the campaign book, this is one of the things that I was excited about for this game, because it has a choose your own adventure style campaign with branching narratives and decision points, which a lot of games like this do not have. You just play through a series like A through K or 1 through 10 or whatever. But this actually has, when you finish a scenario, you actually have some choices about what to do, and the campaign changes based upon those choices. So we have another table of contents, different ways to use the tokens, how to read your scenario setup, an openings little story page here, and then an intro scenario. And here we have the setup for the intro scenario. We have encounter 1 and encounter 2. And then already over here we have, once the scenario is complete, as you can see here, you have 3 choices. So you can choose one, when then you go to scenario 1A on page 11. If you choose the second one, you go to scenario 1B on page 13. Or if you choose the third one, you go to 1C on page 15. So already that leads me to believe that there's going to be some interesting replay value, and that you could play through the campaign multiple times and experience different branching paths and narratives. Looks like the layouts get interesting. We're not just dealing with square tile layouts. So yeah, I think this looks pretty cool. So we have a boss fight there. Looks like there are quite a few. Looks like there are some hidden things, which is neat for the layout. Another boss fight. Yeah, the more I'm looking into this game and the way it kind of looks, I'm getting pretty excited to play it. I gotta tell you the truth here. I think I'm gonna have this game set up soon and get cracking at it. J.R. Tolkien quote there at the end. So yeah, the scenario book looks pretty nice. I like that. I like that cover a lot. I like how it's a different style, more of a muted colors. I think that's pretty cool. All right, so now let's get looking at the box here, and of course, what most people will be interested in here are the minis. Oh, sorry about that. They taped these shut, so let me get this tape off real quick. So like I said, I think this is a good size for a Kickstarter game, at least for me. I know some people want those giant shelf hogging games, but as you get more games and your room doesn't get bigger, your shelves just take up more and more space. It's kind of nice to have a smaller, self-contained game. So one thing I am concerned about, and I think I raised this point in my initial top 10 list, is I do wonder if there's going to be enough enemy variety. So I know that they do have an expansion. I didn't buy the expansion with the Kickstarter. I think it's coming to retail, but it is an enemy expansion. So I think maybe even the designers knew that maybe the enemy variety in the base game isn't quite there. So that may be something I look into, because one thing I do like in these games is a little bit more enemy variety than a lot of them give you. So it looks like we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 5 different kind of grunt style enemies. So maybe they do have like kind of evolving powers or something. The minis are nice. They seem high quality. These are the casters, the cat bat casters or something like that. Not bad. They are all the same sculpt. There's no different sculpts in each enemy type. Looks like one of those rabbit cultists. It would have been cool if they could have done a crossover with the Ninja Turtles or Yosagi Yojimbo or something for this game. That would have been pretty neat. The tentacles coming out from underneath the dress. I like that. It's subtle. And then these looks like maybe like one of the bear sharks or something. They have some kind of claw or a hook that they like grab people with and probably pull them into their cultish meetings or something. And then it looks like we have our heroes here. So the heroes are a completely different color, which is nice, easy to stand apart. Sorry, I'm getting some wicked shadows. I'm not quite sure which light that is coming from. A little bit better. Cool poses on the heroes. I like that. I like that guy. He's like a ram, an ibex, or I think it's called, or something like that. He looks like the sorcerer. I don't know how many heroes you have to use to play this game. I hope you can play it solo with 2. If so, I will probably end up playing something like with the tank and the sorcerer. I typically like that combo when I play 2 heroes in a fantasy game. All right, so those are some of the heroes there. Then And let's see, it looks like we have our hero dashboards and enemy information. So hero dashboards, and just kind of standard cardboard. At least they have a nice picture on the back. Got your hero cards, maybe your health, hit points, I think, or probably experience points. You can go up in levels, items. All right, so I think you get 5 of those. Yep. It is interesting. You can't play with 5 players. A lot of these games top out at 4, so that's nice. So level 1 enemies, level 2, level 3. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. There are only four groups of minions. So that is a little light. Hopefully there is variety to the game above and beyond the number of minions. And it looks like here we have the initiative track. And there is 2 sides, and one of them is kind of a more advanced side, and depending on your initiative position, you get certain bonuses. So I like that, and from what I've heard already, there's really no reason to ever play on the beginner side. Go straight for this, and you have a few more tactical points of information during the game. So one thing I do really like is that there are only 2 sheets of chits, and it looks like the vast majority of them are just health markers, which is great. Some trapdoors, some treasure, and then a couple little looks like enemy tokens, maybe some NPCs or something you might have to rescue. Some walls here, so you can modify the tiles to block stuff. But yeah, really light on the chit count. Greatly appreciate that. All right, and here we have our large tiles. Let's cut these open real quick and take a look at those. So the tiles are quite large. Good colors. Looks like you have some terrain types, darkness maybe. Looks like a little cult, yeah, that's definitely like where they have their cult meetings at. There's the pulpit. Indoor and outdoor areas with some more different kinds of terrain markings. Little farm areas. I gotta say, I do think that the art on these tiles is pretty good. Ooh, that's a really nice looking tile. Very cool. Hopefully they're used in creative ways instead of just art. It's kind of one of my main complaints about Zombicide is that the tiles in the base game and even in Wolfsburg or whatever the first expansion is called, they're pretty boring. They don't really do anything. It's just kind of art. It looks like these will have more variety in how they're used as far as the scenarios go. Okay, then we have some of the small tiles here. Little joining tiles. 5 of those. So another nice thing is the insert seems pretty well designed, and it looks like it's going to hold everything even when it's unpunched, which is nice. Okay, so we have our hero cards so we can see what the heroes' names are. We have Roland the Warrior, Kira the Thief, Flynn the Ranger, Ibexus the Wizard, and Tank the Guardian. All right, so you got your 5 basic roles there. Nothing original there, but that's fine. Easy to find roles. So these are, I believe, some kind of darkness cards. So these add some kind of mysterious element to the board, a random things that you can search for. So these are all, so that must be the side that you set up. And then it looks like there will be different things. So treasure, probably some kind of boss, and then empty. So there is going to be some variety in how you will set these out on the map. You know, I just noticed that discoloration on the spine of the rulebook. It looks like it might have been packed while the ink was still a little wet, and so it got rubbed off on the inside of the box. That's probably what happened. You do have some clips to keep track of some hit points. They do give you some extra bags. Here you have your dice. They seem pretty nice, custom dice. Looks like we have our bosses here. Looks like these are actually probably the bear sharks. So these are kind of like bigger thug type enemies. And then it looks like we have our bosses here. I know this guy's a boss. I've seen the Kickstarter video where they did a demonstration of fighting him. And then we have this kind of scorpion alligator type guy here. And this guy here, this kind of big brute, some kind of lizard fish man here. Pretty cool. All right, and then finally we get to the cards. My favorite part of any adventure game, the decks of cards. I love that they're tarot size. That is very cool. And these are all events, which there are like non-combat skill checks, which you guys know I always like in a game. Traps, bees, bombs, ambushes. This is cool. Yeah, this is what Zombicide is missing, in my opinion. Random things to happen to you while you are playing. Very cool. I'm excited to get through these and discover what they do. I like how there's a little bit of art, there's a little bit of a story. Shiny yet slimy. You enter a room filled with egg sacs and see something glimmering under a cluster. Check your knowledge. On a 0 to 2, you slip and fall, breaking some eggs. Mommy isn't happy. Suffer knockdown and spawn one brute in your space. A 3 up. You carefully remove the item. Draw one treasure card. Very cool. I love stuff like that. And then let's see what we have here. Next one, it looks like we have our boss AI decks. A few more events. So yeah, lots of events. And it looks like these are our boss event decks. We have Chalk, Crex, and Elderbane. So let's take a look at Chalk real quick here. He's right on top. So that guy has like a shell. He's kind of like a mollusk shell or something. Hermit crab looking dude. And looks like he has, so this is like your HP tracker, and then he has different attacks. Grunt, Distraction, Curse Bomb, Blight Barrage, Vicious Miasma, Vanish, Life Siphon, Archer Assault, Boil and Shake, Darkness Falls, and a Crabbling Bomb. So it looks like the boss fights are going to be somewhat dynamic in that you never really know what they're going to do. So that's cool. And then we have two, looks like, item cards and our treasure pack relics. Take a look at these real quick. Yeah, the more I look at this game, the more I am excited for it. I think I have a feeling that it seems like to be the right amount of stuff. I don't know if that is something that other people think about. I don't feel overwhelmed going through this box. However, I don't feel underwhelmed. I feel like a perfect amount of excitement. So it looks like we have some starting gear for the different weapons. Initiative cards. Initiative for the heroes. Spawning cards. Spawning different enemies. A boulder drop. So these are treasures, bucklers, frying pan of doom, flintlock pistol, the heart amulet, a leech spell, lucky gem, mighty gloves, a scale helm, the thief's cape, throwing axes. Okay, some good variety there in the items, magical and mundane. And then we have one more deck of cards here to take a look at. So it looks like we have some relics. So these are probably like quest-based things that you get, special items. Then you have treasure packs for level 3 treasure. Let's see what some of the level 3 treasures have to offer. Plate armor, a puffer gun, scroll of Bubai, shadow dagger, shield of triumph, a little more powerful sounding, and then more items. So yeah, wow. I was not expecting that many items. Very cool. All right, so that is everything in the base box. Now let's take a quick look at the little Kickstarter box. So this was just some extra heroes and one extra scenario with a Pandulu, which is kind of a Cthulhu-based panda enemy, a boss that you can fight in one of the scenarios. And so here we have the minis for the special heroes that came with the Kickstarter edition. There are 8. I really like this guy. It's like a little like fox on top of a robot. I think he looks pretty cool. And this guy with his stein, drinking some ale. So you do get your little Pandulu bonus scenario. So you can go and fight the panda cult leader of the production company's namesake. And here you have his stat card and his deck of attacks. You have the hero cards. So we have Bebo the Warlock, Grunbjorn the Skald, John the Bard, Liz the Rune Master, Mary the Golemmancer, Reyna the Dragoon, Ross the King, and Thalia the Toxophile. And it looks like you can, as you level up on the heroes, you can have different attacks to choose from, get an additional action. Each looks like each time you level up, you get a choice, and then you get like one major thing when you hit the final. And then what is kind of interesting, they included the spawn deck for the High Tide expansion. So I'm not quite sure why that was included in the Kickstarter box. I'll have to find out about that. But you have your initiative cards for the You know what, I think they might have given me the wrong pack of cards because I did not get initiative cards for the additional heroes, nor did I get all of their starting gear. But I did get all of these spawn cards from High Tide. So I have a feeling that they kind of mixed up what I was supposed to get. I'll have to contact them. Maybe not, but... All right, well, that is Wander, Cult of Barnacle Bay. I hope you guys enjoy looking at this game, and I am going to set it up and learn it tonight and probably do an additional video later on. So, all right, have a good one, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.